purpose of the group's about. It's about art advocacy and
I
leadership
just
in
don't
the
want to
arts.
get it wrong.
And yeah.
Great California came to me and said, "Hey, Robin, if students wanted to go to a school board meeting and speak out about an issue, what would it be?" And I said, I don't really know. So why don't we ask them?
In this episode of Artful Pods of Wisdom, we are celebrating Youth Arts Month by amplifying student voices. On January 18th, SAUSD Arts, in collaboration with Tiana Day, Saba Quidwai, and the team from Focus Your Ideas, FYI, Ranil, Emily, and Sean, joined students from Valley, Godinez, Segerstrom, Century, Circulos, and Middle College to co-create and design arts advocacy campaigns and projects to rethink how all students can receive the benefits of the arts. Throughout the episode, you will get to hear recordings of the day and the interactions, as well as Robin McNair, Lindsay Barfield, and Sofia Cuevas, your hosts, debrief of what that day did for the arts and student voices. With a room full of students, adults, and leaders alike, let's join the conversation.
So often we, as adults, talk about what they need and what we should do and what their education should look like. And we don't stop and actually listen to them. We praise ourselves in this district that we want to, have our students be architects of their own learning. But what does that mean? And what does that look like? And what do we actually allow our students to have that voice?
And in that vein, we brought you here to reactivate our youth arts leaders, our student union of the arts for the school district. And I'm so grateful to say we have the support of our superintendent, Mr. Almendarez, here today, who is here to, if you want to give a couple of words, just to talk about the future and what you're doing, but also to help frame the day. So go ahead, Mr. Almendarez.
Just first of all, in addition to the comments that were made about COVID, during that time, one of the things that we did was pull our community leaders together and have a conversation about what our expectations were for students when they went through the system in San Antonio School District and left. And 7 months of conversations with city leaders, community leaders, parents, teachers. We developed a graduate profile with 8 characteristics. One of those characteristics that we have latched onto is students being the architect of their learning. Now think about that for a second. Students being the architect. And one of the proud moments that we have in rolling out this graduate profile is having conversations about what does that mean. As adults, we think it means one thing. As students, it possibly could mean another. So it's even more than ever before now that we pull students together, the youth's voice together, and have a conversation about what does being a student architect of your own learning look like. And that's why you guys are.
It wasn't, I don't want to name it chaos. And I don't know if Lindsay wants to tell me some more, like what she felt during the day, but there was such a buzz in the room, because at one point, to me at least, yes, we were kind of packed in our space, but when you looked out, you couldn't tell who was student, who was the adult. And I think that was part of my favorite moment to really reflect on, when students, as equally as staff members or adults, were engaging and interacting in the same type of conversation
about it. And that's what we're going to walk you through. It's really important to know today, you don't need an answer to whatever the issue is. So for example, if we're looking at one which is around, how do we have more breaks in school? You do not need to even remotely know what the answer is. In fact, if you did know what the answer is, I would ask you to forget the answer because I'm going to ask you to come up with a new answer. So you do not need to know the answer to your problem at all. You don't even need to worry about, can I do something about this? Very organically, it is our role to be here to guide you through that process. And you'll surprise yourselves by like, oh my God, we started with like, we had no idea how we were going to do this. And now we have this method or this idea that we can go and pitch and share. I need you to kind of share, and you may have already done this, and that's awesome. I need you to kind of share some of the things that you have, and I want you to pick the top 3 in each category, okay? And if you're just like...
For our rows, something that is working well, how the arts can serve as like an opportunity for students to come together to collaborate, no matter what the discipline is. You know, there's spaces where students can, you know, work to feel safe and find new friends and, you know, meet people who have similar aspirations as them and similar passions. So that's really like something that's been really working well. Something that we've felt kind of isn't working, like at Thorn, is that depending like where the student goes or like what discipline they're part of, there may not be as many opportunities available for them. Sometimes students feel like they're not represented fully, or that they're like the only ones advocating for their own cause, and that they don't really have the support that they need to flourish, I guess, in whatever it is that they want to do. I guess what we thought could be like an opportunity, like a bud, would be to like promote the idea that art is a medium for everybody, no matter what the discipline is, like no matter whether you're still in high school or like, you know, graduating, the arts will be there for you no matter what. So if you can find comfort in that, you know, I guess sort of like just know that it'll be there no matter, like, if you just, it's not necessarily like a VAPA requirement that you just needed to graduate. Like, it'll be there, and like you'll have that as like a medium, like whether it's painting or, you know, music, it'll be
I think the best way that I could describe it was an overwhelming bigness. I mean, because there was so much big work trying to happen and so many big topics that we were trying to educate the students on and hear their opinions and get their feedback on. And we sort of knew where we were going with it, but because the goal was to hear from the students, there's that uneasiness of where you sort of have a plan, but you kind of hope that it all goes down the path that you're thinking it's going to go, but that willingness to allow for the flexibility.
Social artistry means that you can use the arts and your artistry to shine a light on a civic issue or something, a social issue, something that allows kids the opportunity to make a statement and call to action around issues.
And also this idea of social artistry, who is Tiana Day, who is coming here today to, not much older than yourselves, to tell you her story. So we're very excited to have her lift us up and inspire us. So thank you, Tiana.
Thank you. That's so cute. I didn't have any friends. It gave me a lot of time to reflect on who am I really and like what am I passionate about, which honestly all relates to what I'm going to talk about, this idea of purpose to pain. But I am a multi-layered trauma survivor, so understanding that there's a big part of reflection that comes with stepping into your purpose when it comes to artivism or comes to activism, or maybe you want to be a doctor, I don't know, whatever your purpose is, there comes with a lot of reflection and kind of honor for the seed and the root of the story, because you see fruit and, you know, we eat an orange, we eat an apple, but we don't think about the process that it took for a tree to actually grow. And so I love sharing this and being really authentic about it, because a lot of people don't realize, like, yeah, you can work, you can have a 2.3 GPA in high school, never think you're going to college, and then a few years later be at your dream school, leading an organization, and suddenly speaking to people about the fact that I just didn't like school because I wasn't represented in it. And now I'm here because I understand you guys are being represented in your district by your teachers just saying, let's create a space for you guys. So I want to help be able to empower you and talk about, again, this idea of pain to purpose. So taking the reflection standpoint of what has brought you here up to this moment, like there's a lot of pain and trauma that goes into our bodies. Like I said, like it's a generational thing. So you don't understand what your parents have gone through, what your grandparents have gone through, what your ancestors have gone through, and how that stores in your body. And it might manifest as fear. It may manifest as not feeling beautiful when you look in the mirror. It may manifest as looking at your peers and comparing yourself. And all of this pain can be turned into purpose. It just depends on your perspective. And so that's a big thing that I love to talk about, this idea of perspective, because when you're able to use empathy to see things from another person's point of view, you're able to understand them a lot better.
Teammates in figuring out what is it that we need to ensure that all students are getting access to their passion, to their purpose. And I think that was kind of what I think, because it's the arts, it allowed us to be so free and open. I didn't know what students were from what school sites, unless they had it on their shirts in some capacity or form, but they were all of our students. As you said, Robin, the arts are intrinsically human because it is how we express us, right?
One of the girls said, as a student union, a union's purpose is to fight for the individual rights. And that is how she saw their purpose in this group, was to fight for their rights to their arts education. And I was just like, wow, I hadn't even thought about it that way. And I thought it was so brilliant and beautifully said to make that point and make those connections. And then the other thing that you said that made me think of is the fact that we didn't know who was from what school. And I think that's the other point that these kids are trying to get at, is that they want all schools to have great programs. They see what each other's doing and they're inspired by what they see at other schools.
All pretty much the same ideas, and for this one we grouped them all together. For the rows, we talked about having interactive lessons and being able to talk to your peers and express your own different ideas and things that you could do different in whatever group you're in, and things that you could improve on.
Something that we thought wasn't working, so our thorn was the counseling approach to taking more visual performing arts and stuff like that. A lot of counselors at our schools discourage kids to do that, to take more STEM focused classes, when a lot of them don't either like the subjects or they just don't want to do it in general in their life, and they want to focus more on art, and they just take classes that they see are unnecessary.
For our bud, we talked about having more student-led groups, and we talked about groups like this, not only within our own groups and within our own leadership, but being able to talk to the administration. Throughout all of today, everyone was nodding and agreeing with the ideas that we have, but this is only one day there might be a few different meetings where we're able to talk to you guys, but I wish we had more time to express and go into detail about every idea that we have. And we also talked about a student-based curriculum, and
that's going well at Rose is you guys are starting to understand us and trying to listen to us, our ideas, the adults are trying to really morph into what we want, and our generation trying to move on.
We have the chance to say what we want to say
and all that stuff. But like for Thorn is that sometimes we just feel shut down, and it's happened to many in our group where they bring up problems, but then adults just say, no, that's not possible, we can't do that right now, there's other issues, there's other things more important, and we just want a chance where we could actually be listened to and feel like our ideas do matter and are important in the society.
And our bud is like, I understand that sometimes we need adults to like really step on and go to the next thing, but if we have more like student-led stuff, like just have us sit down in a group, and then you guys could listen to us, of course, but have us kind of give ideas. Like we know we don't have enough funding, but we don't really need that too. We kind of just need an area so we could go all together and we'll start doing something.
Now 2.0 as we come back. We've added the element of artificial intelligence into the mix so that the kiddos have the opportunity to collaborate creatively, save themselves time, and be able to work across the schools. Because it is challenging when you're entrenched at your site. How do you get together with other people across the district? And we're finding ways to break down the barriers for the students to have access to collaborating with each other and build these relationships and these projects that they're developing through the art student.
And come up with really cool ideas, do really cool things together. Will created this app during the pandemic, and the reason why he created it was to address an issue that I think all of us can relate to, students and non-students alike, which is that when we're trying to focus our ideas, it can be really tricky. There's a lot of distractions that exist, and we're often working on our phones, and our phones are the most distracting things that are probably in our lives. You might be dealing with emails from somebody, and maybe you're texting a friend, or maybe you're working on a project in school together, and wait, did they text you the information for this project you're working on, or did they email it to you, or did they DM you on Instagram? There's so many different ways, and what if there was a way to sort of put everything together and create a productivity tool for creatives? And that's what FYI was created to be. It is the ultimate productivity tool for creatives. And creatives can be anybody. Creatives can be artists. I know that I'm talking to a lot of art-leaning minds here, which is really cool. It could be people who are in leadership roles, and I know that's what a lot of you are also doing as well. Creative can be anything. It doesn't necessarily just have to be a musician or a filmmaker or a graphic designer. There's anybody who has an idea is a creative. I am not about to walk into a school of high schoolers and say the AI is the magic wand tool to solve all of your problems. That is not the case. That is not, I think it's really important to remember that AI is a tool, and it's a tool that can be fallible, and I can think of no better way to demonstrate the caution and sort of things that you need to keep in mind about the AI than by playing a clip from the show The Office.
Right, turn. Wait, no. It means bear right.
No,
up there.
It said right, so take a right.
No, look. It means go up to the right, bear right, over the bridge, and hook up with 307.
Make a right. Maybe it's a shortcut, Dwight. It said go to the right.
It can't mean that. There's a lake there. It knows where it is going. The machine knows. Stop yelling at me. No, it's not me. There's no here. Remain calm. I have trained for this. Okay. Exit the window. Here we go.
Make a U-turn.
We got 3 times. Right up. Are you okay? Swim for it! I got you!
You guys get it.
Don't drive into a lake, metaphorically speaking. You know, the AI is something that can be used to help you get ideas, bounce ideas. I am somebody who uses AI a lot as a writer, through my professional works. I'm always double checking the AI. You will never find me, and I don't think anybody should just blindly follow any sort of AI, because while it can be useful, it lacks the depth and the perception that we as humans have.
It wasn't that they were looking to like recreate the whole educational system. They were really just looking to be heard. which to me is like one of the easiest things we can do to transform not only our educational system, but our communities, to affirm and see people for how they're expressing themselves. And I think, Robin, you brought up the AI piece, because it's those resources that were brought in, design thinking, just the space to do design thinking and to rethink how they approach problems and problems of practice, to rethink how might we approach this barrier. Not this barrier is what it is, deal with it, move on, or learn more, do more, keep fighting for more. It's more of a like, well, it's a barrier. So how might we approach it differently and see it differently? And students, in particular in the arts, and this is where I go into how does this translate into theater, or into dance, into visual arts? And I've heard Lindsay talk about her classes when she walks around and she's looking at students drawing or they're doing their art, and she'll do one little comment that will then ignite them to like keep going, or they create even more incredible art, or they utilize that one little moment in the other pieces of art that they do throughout the entire year or the next 3 years. And I suppose, and this is where I go into why the arts are so powerful for this particular dynamic in terms of voice and choice and advocacy from a student, when we get student-centered, is that expression. But it doesn't just end at expression. For an artist, it's displayed and people interact with it. Whether it's visual arts, it's film, it's media, it's theater, it's dance, it's music. At some point, there's an audience attached to it that engage with that expression, and a student feels seen and heard.
And how to do it diplomatically.
Well, and I think too, that's where so many of the shifts need to happen, is these kids are not growing up in the world that we did. They are not entering the world like it's ever been known to us before. They, when we were kids, I know I used to always hear my teachers be like, well, you're not always going to have a calculator in your pocket. Well, guess what? We do. We have our phones. Our phones have the wealth of information to access the entire world's knowledge. But it's the students these days need to have the tools and the resources in their pocket to be able to know what to do with that information and how to move forward with it, because they have lots of big ideas. They have that bigness within them that they are ready to explore and tackle the world's problems. And if we just equip them with a little bit of resources and those tools that they need to build that confidence, they're going to shoot off like a firework, and they are going to change the world.
Whose voices are being amplified in your schools? How can these voices make positive change in the community, both in the classroom walls and beyond? As we close today's episode, let's remember to find moments of stillness and listen. The students' voices you heard today are everywhere, and they are not just preparing for the future, they're leading us into it. Until next time, thank you for joining the conversation.
So it's even more important than ever before now that we pull students together, the youth's voice together, and have a conversation about what does being a student architect of your own learning look like. And that's why you guys are here, is really to help us define and to create experiences for you and those that follow you to make learning meaningful and fun.
Thank you. Yes.